Welcome back to another College Kid Talks About video. Today we are playing Plague Inc. Just wanted to pick a game that I didn't have to think too hard. The last video I had to pause a lot because I was thinking on what it is that I wanted to do in the game since it was Stalker and I was in the middle of a gunfight, unfortunately. But today we are just playing a chill game of Plague Inc. Today we're going to talk about uh, going back. The reason for this talking point uh, is actually pretty interesting. So recently, there has been a lot of examples of my peers going back to their recently departed partner, and I noticed it happening a lot. And then it got me thinking, why why is it that we feel so desperate to go back to something familiar if we already decided it wasn't good enough, or it wasn't meeting our needs, or if there was a problem? And I came to the realization that the reason that we do this so often is because we would rather go back to something that is familiar and painful than unfamiliar and painful, because at least then we know what comes with it. It is easier to take, it is harder to take a chance at better for worse than it is to take a chance on worse for mediocrity. And I realize that I've also had this fear of very often where you feel that you've sunk so much into whatever it is that you cannot leave it. That if you left it, you would be worse off than if you had just stayed. And I remember initially thinking and looking down on the people who were going back. I could not, for the life of me, understand why a person would go back to something that they had already decided was not enough. And then very quickly I began to realize that I was guilty of the same thing. Maybe not in the same sense of relationships, but I have been guilty of going back to things when objectively I knew it was worse. Uh, but then there's the opposite end of that spectrum of when is going back the right thing to do? And then got me thinking again of examples of me going back, doing that thing that I look down on these people for doing. And I realized that I have gone back to people multiple times, just not in a romantic sense. There have been multiple friends that I have known for a long time where there have been year, 2 year breaks between us because there was some kind of issue. And the common denominator between all of these is time. Going back to someone within a short amount of time after realizing they aren't right or realizing that a problem has come up is the issue. If you give that time to sit and to have them mature, have yourself mature, to learn from the mistakes that you made, so both of you can come back and create a stronger friendship, those 2 years apart of disdain, uncomfortability, distaste, whatever it may be, those years are worth it because you grow as a person. They grow as a person. But when you get back together so quickly, you begin to realize that, or you fail to realize what went wrong. You fail to mature, and it only inevitably goes to end. My philosophy with relationships has always been, and continues to be, if there is a break of any kind in the relationship, it is over. There is no chance for recovery because the seeds have already been planted that this can fail. And though failure is good in the grand scheme of things, because you learn, But like I previously mentioned, if you get back together too quickly, what is it that you have really learned? Did you learn that you don't like to be alone? Because in that case, you didn't really learn anything. You failed to grow as a person, and you failed to realize that you are healthier on your own than with another person. And I think the hardest part about it, and the part that I will try not to be hypocritical on, is the fact that, oh shit, I should have been watching that. And the part that I failed to really recognize is that it is hard to tell when you've actually matured or not. In fact, there are so many cases where a person will believe that they have matured. They will believe that they have learned and that they have grown to be better, but in all reality, they haven't at all. Because a person who is immature is unlikely to listen and unlikely to recognize that they are immature. So if a person were to tell them that they aren't ready, they won't be mature enough to recognize that. And I've had scenarios like this where someone is not mature enough to recognize their own immaturity, and I initially had thoughts of thinking that they were stupid, that they should listen to me. My new thought process is not that. I have come to the realization that looking down on your peers because they believe that they are mature is inherently hypocritical for when you were immature. Maturity isn't making better decisions than your peers. It's recognizing that you've made poor decisions before, and that people who make these poor decisions, you who makes these poor decisions, are not exempt from criticism. I realized that more often than not, the things that I was criticizing these people to myself or to others were things that I have done, but less publicly. And in that sense, I think that I am more cowardly than these people ever were. To be so upfront and public with one's mistakes, and to recognize that they were mistakes preceding the mistakes that you made, is 1,000 times more mature and 1,000 times stronger than I am. I have made similar mistakes. I have tried to go back to people, and I have failed at doing so. But yet, I criticize these people because they succeeded at going back, which I think is inherently unfair to them. If I could truly help these people, if I could tell them not to go back, to make them realize that this isn't the right way to go, I suppose my words would be simply, have you given yourself enough time to mature? Have they given you the time to mature? Are you going back with them because you can't stand the feeling of being alone? Because you think or feel that being with them is better for you than being alone? If you truly believe that you being with whatever person or going back to whatever friend group is going to help you in the long run, help you grow as a person, to expand, that this scenario will truly help you succeed in life, then by all means, I think you should go back. There are a million different reasons a person goes back, a million different reasons a person doesn't go back, and I can't even to begin to fathom the reasons why one wants to go back to a relationship. I can't fathom why I would want to go back to a relationship like that, or why I wouldn't want to go back to a relationship like that. Human relationships are too complex to summarize in a few sentences or a short 10-minute video. And I hope people realize that to be critical of someone else and their decisions is to be critical of a past self. Because I'm sure at one point or another, whether you blocked it out of your own mind, you had made those mistakes before as well. Or you will make those mistakes. The best way I can compare it to of recognizing maturity and recognizing when you are right and when you are wrong is like wearing deodorant. You personally cannot tell when you smell. At least most people can't. So when someone else tells you that you smell, don't necessarily take it as truth, but take it as a sign to look within yourself, to take a closer smell at the armpit, to understand whether or not you truly smell. Now, if it is true that you happen to stink, then you should take steps into improving that. And to those who are realizing now that the reason they are with their current partner is because they are scared to be alone, there's a quote from Huey Freeman from the Boondocks, from another philosopher that I can't remember, but I will play at the end of this game, that I really think helped me realize and helped me to change my perspective on it personally. I think I might lose this game because I kill everybody. Let's hope this works. And this is the first time I've ever said anything about this really, but there was a time where I tried to get back with my ex, and she simply shut me down. And I think that was another moment that helped me realize that I was hypocritical to some sense. Because had that succeeded, had I gotten back with my ex at that point, I would have repeated the same mistake that I was critical of other people of being. And to those people in my real life that I have criticized for attempting to or getting back with an ex, I do want to say that I am sorry and that I was hypocritical. And that at the end of the day, I did the same thing. But to please know that when I do say things like that, when I do criticize, that it comes from a place of past experience that I have seen and experienced myself, to know that I just want what's best for you. But again, if you truly believe what you are doing is right, then I don't think my words should sway your decision. I think that's going to conclude this episode of College Kid Talks About, is what we're going to call it now. At least until I am not a college kid anymore. To end it off, I will very quickly find that Boondocks quote. Is it this one? No.
Welcome back to this US
Oh,
Open
no.
office plan.
Not a Grammarly ad. Way to ruin the mood.
Mo thought I was good at saying deep things, but I'm not. Huey, say something deep.
Huh?
I ain't got all day, boy. Be deep.
Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. Therefore, trust the physician and drink his remedy in silence and tranquility. Khalil Gibran.
Well then, that'll end the video. There will be a more fleshed out version of this in the future where I will try to actually edit a video. I really enjoy making the videos. They essentially serve as my diary of sorts in a way that allows me to easily express myself without actually writing it down. And I get to share my thoughts with you guys. Like I said, more fleshed out version of this idea coming out soon. Probably under the title Going Back. Uh, this is more or less just my brief thoughts, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, and uh, I will try to better express that when the actual video comes out. But thank you very much for watching. Have a good night, morning, whatever it may be, and I'll see you next time.